I call the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals to order. Will we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Will the clerk please call roll?
Members of the board, Kane is excused. Grotman,
Present.
Weaver,
Here.
Toth,
Here.
Masterson.
Here.
Members of the administration, Council Liaison Winkle,
Here.
Chief Building Official Fursden,
Here.
Assistant Law Director Morgan, Planning and Development Director Lieber.
Okay, we are looking for approval of the minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, I make a motion to accept as submitted. Okay, now we're going to move to the election of officers. Do we have any nominations for chairperson?
I nominate Linda Masterson.
Anybody else? Will the clerk please take roll?
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Is there anybody that would like to nominate a vice chair for this evening? I will nominate Paul Grotman. I don't think there's anybody else. Will the clerk please take roll?
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
I would like to nominate Tina as our secretary. Anybody else want to? Okay, would the clerk please take roll?
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Okay, Board of Flood and Drainage Control Liaison. I nominate Mr. Weaver. Anybody else?
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Alternate Board of Flood and Drainage Control Liaison, I nominate Mr. Toth. Anybody else?
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, do we have any Planning Commission reports?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The North Ridgeville Planning Commission meeting scheduled for February 11th, 2025 was canceled as no timely applications were submitted for consideration. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here in City Council chambers. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any other reports or correspondence from anybody? Okay, we'll move on to the public hearings.
First applicant, PPZ 2025-0331, UH Urgent Care 34548 Center Ridge Road, PPN 07-00-016-101-054. Owner, The Shops on Center Ridge, LLC, 5050 Detroit Road, Sheffield Village, Ohio, 44035. Applicant, Marie Cipolletta, Signorama, Cleveland, 18200 South Miles Road, Lawrenceville Heights, 44128. Proposal consists of a sign package requests a 311.58 square foot variance for area of building signs. Applicant shows 431.58 square feet. Code allows 120 square feet. Section 1286.11A1A. And number two, a variance for a second monument sign. Applicant shows two ground signs, existing scooters, and proposed UH. Code allows one, section 1286.11C1.
Is there anybody here that's going to speak on behalf of this? Whoever speaks, I need to have you sworn in. Okay, we're gonna do this one at a time, okay? Okay, do you swear or affirm that the statements you are about to make before this zoning and building board of appeals for the city of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, and your name
Marie Ciboletta,
and your address?
the 18200 South Miles, Warrensville Heights.
Did you wanna, okay.
My name's Mickey Mann, representing the shops on Center Ridge, address 5050 Detroit Road, Sheffield Village, Ohio, 44035.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before this zoning and building board of appeals for the city of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes.
Okay. Last but not least,
Didn't know he was coming today.
your name
Eric Plasek. I'm with Wells Street.
and your address, sir?
It is 3350 Riverwood in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you are about to make before the zoning and building board of appeals for the city of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes.
Okay. Who wants to speak on behalf of this first?
Madam Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Kim Lieber, can you please do your report? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The applicants proposed a sign package for the recently approved UH urgent care project on Center Ridge Road, and the sign package consists of both building signs and a new ground sign. So a slight correction from the agenda. It came to our attention after we wrote the agenda that the building width should have included the awning on the one side. So when we look at, instead of the building being 60 feet wide, really it was 66.3 feet. So it increased the amount of sign face allocation. So in my report, on that second page, there's like a grid, and those are the updated numbers. So, the variance for the wall signs is 298.98, not the 311 as on the front page write-up that was on your agenda. So I just wanted to clarify, to look at that grid, and those are the correct numbers. The UH building shares a parcel with the former Scooters Coffee. One ground sign is permitted per lot unless a lot has frontage in excess of 500 linear feet or if it's greater than 5 acres. But this lot does not meet either of those conditions. So, a variance is being sought for a second ground sign. The sign itself would otherwise comply with our code requirements in terms of the height, area, and setback. The applicant is proposing building signage in excess of code allowances. Again, I mentioned the 2 square feet of signage are permitted for each linear foot of building width, and in this case, that width is 66.3 feet, creating an allocation of 132.6 square feet. And the combination of the 3 wall signs on the various facades add up to 431 square feet. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Ferguson, did you want to? Okay. Ms. Morgan, did you have anything that you wanted to say? No. Okay. All right. You can present your case now.
Sure.
Thank you.
We are proposing on the north elevation a set of channel letters that is 163 square feet. That is going on the front entrance. They are also proposing on the south elevation another set of channel letters that is 143.2 square feet. They have another set on the east elevation that is 100 square feet over the door. We do propose the monument sign that we just discussed, along with some window vinyl.
Okay, and I guess what I'm asking is
Sure.
why are you asking for relief from the code?
For the additional signage. With them being a urgent care, we feel like the community needs to have good recognition of where they need to go. So we feel that the need of the 3 signs is pertinent for them.
Okay. Does anybody else want to present on this?
I could just touch briefly on the second monument sign. So the existing monument sign for the Scooters restaurant, as you guys know, Scooters didn't work out, but we have some news to share hopefully very, very soon about a second tenant that's going to take over the space. So that would be the reason why we wouldn't remove the current signage that was for the existing Scooters. And that's why we're asking for a second signage for the monument for the upcoming University Hospital.
I had intended to only answer any questions, but one of the things to take into consideration with the layout of this site is we're using the back of the building for parking, and that's why we've asked for an additional sign toward the back. Doesn't have street frontage, but it allows patients when they come to the facility to know, they're in the right place, it's the right elevation, it's where you should enter the building, so.
All right, do any board members have any questions of the applicants?
From the applicants or
Or,
administration?
I'm sorry, for the board, I apologize.
Yes,
Slight headache.
through the chair, please. Ma'am, I've noticed here that the north sign, our grid here breaks that sign down as being 167.42 square feet, which is the largest of the three building signs. And that one is located on essentially the rear of the building. Could we go back to the site plan, please?
Yep, sorry.
So as your prospective customers will enter your facility, they are going to turn off of Center Ridge, pass your building, go into the parking lot, park their vehicle, and then come to approach the building. At that point in time, your customer already is pretty certain of where they are, where they're going to. So I'm a little bit confused as to why you need the largest sign over the entrance door as opposed to having your largest sign on the south exposure, which is parallel to Center Ridge.
I'll let you speak first.
Really, I think that's just more of massing than anything else, available building, and putting that large of a sign in the space we had available on that north elevation might look a little out of place. So I think we were trying to balance the building with the sizes, and trying to maximize, visibility.
I'm sorry, sir, but that north side, you've got the largest area sign on your shortest dimension. You're 60 feet.
The 60 feet, correct, but I think there's a, do you have that building elevation? I have my own, but I'm paging through
I
here.
don't think they put them on here.
Yeah, so this one we have the short parapet, so then. Back one. Back another. Yeah,
I don't have that on mine.
I'm trying to look for that dimension. Yeah, 41 lineal feet of parapet on the or in the north elevation, and about, well, roughly the same on the north.
Would you prefer that they switched?
Yeah, I was
The
gonna say that,
signs?
but what I had understood originally was that they were looking at the massing and trying to keep it down. They didn't realize that they had sized it that way.
Well, I'm really concerned about the size of this variance. I realize you're looking for a high visibility location, but this much signage on that size of a building in that location seems to be excessive, in my opinion. And that's not even taking into account the additional signage you're going to have for your monument sign. Once your customer is in, they're captive, so I'm not certain why such a large sign is needed on that rear entry.
The rear entry is more of the main entrance.
It is the main entrance. I mean, it's
Correct.
It's Still need some branding there to be able to.
Well, we've got the vinyl, the window vinyls on the
which
doors
is-
there.
Which is very small, right?
And, but your customer, again, has already parked their vehicle and they're looking at your entrance. And
If we
that's
were
just concerning to me.
if we were to shrink them and swap,
I'm not sure that's, our position here to change plans and to say what's reasonable and what isn't. I just think that a 300-foot variance here in the center of our commercial district is a bit much right now.
Thank you, Mr. Toth. I think what he's saying, and one of the things that I'm going to say, is we ask for what a practical difficulty is, why you need it. You're asking for you're asking for 3 times as much as is allowed. Why? I mean, just, it's an urgent care center. We get it. You don't need to put that signage on all sides. Then having 2 monument signs. I need you to prove to me what your difficulty is other than you're an urgent care center. Clearly, I mean, you're asking for an awful lot. So what is your practical difficulty?
that it's an urgent care.
And that's,
Yeah, I mean, we've done several of them, and in almost every city, they've allowed because it's an urgent care. And they want it to have high visibility for the community, to know exactly where they're going.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Lieber?
if I could interject on that issue, I think there's some danger of the board considering the type of business and whether or not to grant a particular variance, because you are making a content distinction. And we've talked about our sign code and our regulations need to be content neutral. So when you are looking at the type of business to determine whether or not it's appropriate, you're making a content-based distinction. So I don't think that would pass constitutional muster to base a decision on a variance based upon the business type. Also know that it would run with the building. So urgent care today, some other business tomorrow, the variance wouldn't go away. So
And
I
Ms.
believe it's
Lieber
substantial
knew
and not
exactly where I was
warranted.
going with this next, so thank you. Yes, so as she quite states, the variance goes with the property, not with the business. And it's a very large ask. So it's 3 times what you're asking for. Do any other board members have any other questions?
Madam Chair, my only concern is, and I agree, it's a big ask, but to me, this is just like advertising. You know, you're advertising your brand. I think if people want to have an urgent care, they're going to know where the urgent care is. So, yeah, I tend to think it's a big ask too, Madam Chairman.
Any other board members that have any comments? Okay, we'll open this up to the audience. Does anybody in the audience want to speak on behalf of this matter? Does any of the administration want to have?
I'll just throw my 2 cents in.
I'm going to need you to, if you are going to do that, sir, I do need you to come to the podium, state your name and your address, and I'll have to swear you in.
My name is Michael Kahudich, 5900 Roseville Avenue.
Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do. So, actually living off of Jaycox there, I sort of agree with Mr. Toast. Have it out in front, right, next to, I mean, that's where the majority of traffic goes, because I'm always bypassing that section. So I'm a little confused by, if I'm understanding that correctly, then the back of the building, which is actually the main entrance, would really, I mean, there's just residential homes back there, right? I picture that spot correctly? So that's, no one really actually seeing that. I think you'd be better off, in my opinion, getting whatever sizable sign for the front, and then your monument or whatever that's called, I'm sure, on the front. I mean, that's just my opinion, so. I mean, I think with all that traffic there, now that the coffee shop's closed, that you'd have no problem. And everybody would, I mean, I know, because I have 2 younger boys, would love to see you guys up and going as soon as possible, so. But that's just my opinion, so.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? Any board members have anything they'd like to add?
Madam Chair,
I'll have
just-
her first.
just a reminder, it sounds like there's going to be a diversity of opinion on these, so just to vote on them separately.
Okay. Okay, he asked first, then you can come back up. Go on.
I was gonna ask the board what our options were at this point then.
Well, we would be voting on the application as presented.
As presented.
Another option you have is to withdraw your application. I'm sorry? Or reduce it.
That's why,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, I wanted to know what suggestions you had if we did
We
reduce
can't give
it.
you that.
Okay,
We can just, that's not our job. That's why we
Sure.
give you the option of,
To be clear, you can vote on the monument and the overall signage separately,
correct,
as two separate agenda items.
right.
And if we can come back to the board, if you vote, please, and then, we don't have an affirmative.
So basically what we're gonna do is, if you guys, do you wanna give us any argument as to why the need for the two monument signs? Cause we're gonna vote on them two separate ways.
Yeah. Two very separate businesses, happen to be on same parcel. Two separate buildings. One, an existing coffee that's gonna be, with a drive-through window, so any future business there is gonna be more of a quick service restaurant. And then the current University Hospital proposed monument, very different use, just happens to be on the same building, same, parcel, excuse me.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss this?
Through the chair. To the law director, Ms. Morgan, our vote today, will that be to have two monument signs on the property? Or do we have the option to approve the UH monument sign with the stipulation that the scooter sign is removed?
Well, the scooter sign is not in front of you, so I don't think that's an appropriate way to handle it this evening. If they want to come back to the board, so to table this until a time certain to come back, now that they're aware of some of our concerns and revamp the plan, I think it would make sense to do both of them, rather than vote on one this evening and the other one, because they may change their mind during the process.
yeah, I think we'd rather table it, that way we can go back to UH to have them revamp the drawings and give you guys exactly what you want.
Okay, and then to remind me about tabling an issue, do we just table it or do we have to vote on it?
It's moved to table it.
Okay,
And vote on it.
move to table it.
Second.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Madam Chair, can they come back next month, or do they want more time?
Do you want 30 days or more time than 30 days?
2 weeks before the meeting.
I mean, do I still have to we have to resubmit the drawings?
Yeah,
or
you
do
have
I
to
do
resubmit.
The application again?
Not the application,
Okay.
just the
Just the
I
drawing.
can just submit that to you, Kim? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the 30 days is fine.
30, okay, so we table this to our next meeting.
What date is that?
27th of March.
March 27th?
Okay,
Awesome,
all right.
thank you.
you're welcome.
Do we need to vote on?
You didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, we do need to still vote.
Crotman?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Toth?
Yes.
Masterson?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Will the clerk please read the next application?
PPZ 2025-0332, Richard and Kelly Greenfield, 9160 Pleasant Ridge Circle, PPN 07-001-000-410. Proposal consists of installing a fence on a corner lot. Property is zoned R1 Residence District. Requests One, a 9-foot variance for a fence extending beyond the front building line on a corner lot. Applicant shows a 6-foot-high privacy fence extending 9 feet beyond the front building line. Code does not permit, section 1294.01, H2A.
Okay, is there anybody here to speak on behalf, or Kim, what would you like? Okay. Because, I'm sorry, the way that you had me do it was number 2, you said to swear him in? Okay, all right, thank you. Your name and your address, please?
Richard Greenfield, 9160 Pleasant Ridge Circle.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Lieber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The applicant is requesting a variance for the setback of a fence extending closer to the street than the front building line of their residential lot. So this lot is a corner lot such that both Pleasant Ridge Circle and Little Brook Way are front yards in accordance with our code. The house is set back 22 feet from the right-of-way on Little Brook. The applicant is proposing a 6-foot-high tan vinyl fence, and that will project 9 feet from the building line towards that right-of-way, which will run parallel to the street. Any portion of fence between the right-of-way and the front building line also must be no greater than 4 feet high and no less than 50% open. I just wanted to point out that in the past, we would write these up as height and opacity variance requests, but in this case, clearly the fence is behind the house, and it seemed to write it up as a front yard fence with that 4-foot height and 50% open didn't seem the right direction. To me, this is a setback variance. They're encroaching 9 feet beyond the front building line with a 6-foot-high fence. So that's why it was written up different than maybe you've seen it in the past. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Furston, did you have anything to add?
We're saying similar things. They're running a fence into a front yard that exceeds the height and openness requirements of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Morgan? Okay. All right. Would you like to speak on behalf of your application?
Sure. I'm only requesting 9 feet of variance, so. So the reason for the fence variance is because of our landscape. If we go directly off of our corner building, there's massive pine trees that would need to be removed. That's been paid for. Also, we want to have as much yard as possible for a possible pool in the future. Another reason for the fence is for our dog. I guess that's all I got, really.
Okay.
As you can see, also too, if you look on the bottom corner picture, the variance would not impede the view of the oncoming traffic going around the corner there and coming from this way, I guess, as well.
Do any board members have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Through the chair?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I had taken a look at your property, sir, and I look at the Duncan factors here. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment as a result of this variance? Looking at your property, I saw no detriment whatsoever to the neighborhood, so I feel that your variance is justifiable, and I will be inclined to vote in the affirmative based on that situation.
Thank you very much. Did you want to say? Oh, I'm sorry.
So, Chair, so to be clear, we're asking for setback versus the opacity or the dimension of the fence.
They're like 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Okay.
So in this case, just because it was behind the house and it acts more like a rear yard fence, I wrote it up as a setback for the agenda. But if it were 4 feet high and 50% open, it would comply. Then it could be in the current location.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so, is there anybody, well, I'm gonna start with me. You don't recognize me, but I walk by your house all the time. I have 3 dogs. I'm the lady who rides the bike with the dog in the basket, as the AWIGs know. I'm the 2 yappy dogs, so.
Gotcha. I'm the one with the one that
Yeah.
stands on its hind legs and just wants
So, as Mr. Toth was stating, and as Ms. Lieber has stated, generally, when you do have a corner house, you have 2 front yards. The way that your house was built was to, your practical difficulties are your front yard and how it's situated. You have a beautiful home. I walk by your home
Thank you.
once a day. You are completely correct in your backyard. You cannot move those trees without a,
some serious landscape.
yes, which is not one of our concerns. Okay, but I did want to talk about that. The way that the fence is, normally when we're looking at a corner lot, we're looking at 2 front yards. This is like Ms. Lieber and Mr. Furston stated, it's basically completely in the backyard. And if I'm correct, Mr. Furston, if this were not a corner lot, would this be compliant with code?
Yes.
Okay. So that is another thing to take into consideration. You have behind your house, because I do live in the neighborhood, you have a very large common area behind your house. You have a huge retention or detention basin there.
Correct.
Okay, I'm not sure which way it goes, but it's one of the 2 of them. So that. So is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this? Okay. So in looking at the Duncan, is this variance substantial? In my opinion, oh, I'm sorry. Could you please have a seat? We're
sure.
gonna deliberate on this. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to say that we're asking for something that's above, so they could have a 4-foot fence with 50% opacity and it would be in compliance. So we're not saying that they can't have a fence, we're just saying what he's asking for goes above and beyond, right?
If it were a front yard, but when I asked Mr. Furston if this were not a corner lot, would he need a variance? And his response was no.
So to be clear, Director Lieber, that the variance goes beyond, he could still put in a fence.
Yes.
It just has to be within compliance of the 4 feet
Yes.
and 50% opacity.
Yes.
That's what we're voting on. That the variance goes above a normal fence that could be put there.
Yes.
Because he has a corner lot.
Does that, it's not so much the corner lot, correct?
Well, if it wasn't a corner lot, a variance wouldn't be required, but that's why he's here. It's because it's a corner lot.
Okay.
And because we have 2 front yards for corner lots, and because he's proposing to install a fence in a manner that would be, encroaches into that front yard or is too high and too opaque. So, I mean, you can't kind of say if not for the fact, because that's the exact fact that brings
Right.
the applicant here tonight.
Does that make that a little clearer for you?
Well, I guess the other part is it's out of his control that he lives on a corner lot, right?
No, he bought the house.
Well, but you can't change the fact that it's a corner lot, right? So we're saying that the fence has to fall within.
I think that might go to the Duncan factor. Did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction, which is, we would hope that purchasers would know that corner lots might be treated different because our code is set up to require the 2 front setbacks. So, you know, this code, the corner lot requirements have been in effect for decades and decades. So it's not an
there's- and there's-
unknowable fact.
And there's multiple corner lots in the city of North
There are
Ridgeville.
hundreds,
So it's
if
not
yeah.
unique.
It is not unique.
This is one of the
Madam
things
Chair.
that. Yes. Ms.
You
Moore.
may be struggling with, you could potentially, I'm not saying you need to, but you could look at maybe the fact that this is a corner lot as being part of the practical difficulty that is common to all corner lots. If you want to use that as part of the way you look at this while you're making your deliberation. Because, but for the fact that it was a corner lot, so that may be, you might want to look at that as a practical difficulty.
I guess I would have a slightly different opinion that would seem to then be a policy determination that all corner lots should be granted variances by the nature of them being corner.
That would be my concern.
Well, I mean, it's a factor to consider. It doesn't mean that it's a factor that makes you vote a certain way. It's just something to look at.
And I guess the way that I'm looking at it is each individual application is individual, and we should be discussing this application and only this application. And that's where I'm going with that.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Just to
Thurston?
remind the board, in the past, when these applications were presented, they would always look at it from a safety factor. Is it going to impair motor vehicle or pedestrian motor traffic from safely going up and down that street?
Thank you so very much, sir, for that information. That's very helpful. So going back to the Duncan factors, is this variance substantial? It is not of, in regards to what I was stating and what Mr. Weaver said as well. It's not a large setback. It's not a large variance. If it weren't a corner lot, it would be allowed. I'm saying that one of the unique qualities of the lot is just the way that the house and the driveway are situated. I don't know of many houses in the city of North Ridgeville that have a driveway the way that yours does, that it goes on to two different streets. So I'm thinking that's another practical difficulty. Well, the essential character of the neighborhood. I think Mr. Weaver and Mr. Toth both, and myself did agree that it's not going to impact the neighborhood. As Mr. Fursden stated, it's usually the reason why we have this requirement in place is for safety reasons, and it's not going to impact that. Will this variance adversely affect the delivery of governmental services? No, it won't. Did the property owner purchase the property with the knowledge of the zoning restrictions? 99% of the population do not know that if they buy a house on a corner lot that it has two side lots. Can the owner's predicament can be precluded through some other method or variance? Of course he could. But if you look at it from the standpoint, if it were a single family, if it weren't a corner lot, it would be allowed. So if anybody else would like to add, the board will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
No.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1.
You can pick up your permit Monday from the building department. You're welcome, sir.
Applicant number 3, PPZ 2025-0333, North Ridgeville City Schools Transportation and Maintenance Center, 7001 Ranger Way, PPN 07-00-016-104-233. Applicant Claire Bank, Then Design Architecture, 4230 River Street, Willoughby, Ohio, 44094. Property is zoned R1 Residence District. Property consists of site lighting for Transportation and Maintenance Center. Requests: 1, a variance for lighting fixtures that are not full cutoff. Applicant shows 5-pole lights installed at a 45-degree angle and wall packs that are semi-cutoff. Code requires full cutoff. Section 1285.08C1. Second, a 14-foot variance for luminaire height. Applicant shows fixture height of 30 feet. Code allows 16 feet in residential districts, section 1285D. And third, a variance for excessive illumination levels in an open parking lot. Applicant shows average of 2.8 FC. Thank you. And maximum of 20.8 foot candles in the bus parking lot. Code allows 2.0 foot candle average and 5.0 foot candle maximum. Table 1285.08-1.
Okay. Who all wants to speak on behalf of this matter? Can you state your name and your address, please?
Hello, I'm Claire Bank, 4230 River Street in Willoughby, Ohio.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do.
Okay. Ms. Lieber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The North Ridgeville City School District is seeking variances for their lighting and photometric plan for the new Transportation and Maintenance Center on Ranger Way. Planning Commission approved the project in December with the condition that staff review the final photometric plan for the parking lot for compliance. And because the applicant has been unable to achieve zoning compliance through their design process, we can't approve the lighting plan administratively, which has led to this variance request. The plan deviates from the code in 3 ways. First, the building lights are semi-cutoff, and the 5 of the new parking lot light fixtures will be angled, therefore not full cutoff. When we say full cutoff, we just really mean parallel to the ground, so not angled or where the light source is not exposed. Second, the lights will be mounted at 30 feet. Code allows 16 feet in residential districts, and even though this is a civic campus or a school campus surrounded by civic property, it's still zoned R1. So it's considered a residential district in terms of our code. And third, lighting levels exceed code requirements for open parking lots. So those are the 3 areas of variance requests before the board tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Person? Okay, thank you. Ms. Morgan? Okay. All right, would you like to tell us a little bit about your application?
Sure. Just to speak about it, I guess, in the order maybe of the variance requests. As far as the overall use of the site, it is going to be a bus parking lot and a transportation and maintenance center. So a lot of the reasons for the positioning and the height of the lighting fixtures have to do with making sure that the parking lot has safe lighting levels for the bus drivers moving around early morning and the buses driving around. So as far as the fixtures not being full cutoff, we ended up needing to tilt some of them to cast light farther into the lot. The lot is large, and the school district desired not to have parking lot, lights in the middle of that because of the traffic going through the lot, making sure that those don't get damaged over the years as far as the buses going through there. So we kept the lights that would be facing Ranger Way flat, so that those were full cutoff as far as the taller pole light fixtures, but the ones that are facing away, we have at a 45-degree tilt to cast the light farther into the lot. If all of them were flat, there's a substantial number of spots within the middle of the lot that would not have any lighting levels within it. Due to keeping those lights at the perimeter, we do have some brighter spots at the perimeter, just because, again, we're casting that light farther into the lot instead of having a lesser light coverage all throughout. For the wall packs, we have those as semi-cutoff right now. Again, trying to keep just the amount of poles and things like that at a minimum in a lot where you're gonna have such large vehicles moving around, but knowing that there is the challenge of getting in and out of the building and pedestrians walking around that building, so wanting to make sure that it is well lit there. And then only one of those wall packs actually faces towards Ranger Way. The others are facing onto the school property. For the height of the fixtures, we're actually matching the fixtures that are on North Ridgeville's campus. The parking lot directly adjacent that we're actually expanding north to create this facility has 30-foot poles in it now. Some of the lighting fixtures are going to go onto those existing poles, and then the others are to continue that campus-like feel. And also just with, again, the larger vehicles, it's nice to have those higher to get more coverage without increasing the number of poles. And I think I already spoke to the higher level of lighting within the parking lot. Just noting that that lighting really is contained as far as those higher moments of foot candles to being within the perimeter really of that fence. They're not going towards Ranger Way as far as creating difficulty for drivers that would be driving by. And then even the ones, sorry, the one thing I didn't speak to, the lighting fixtures that are tilted, we're putting shields on those to make sure that as people are driving by, they're not seeing anything, but they're tilted away from Ranger Way.
I do have a question, Ms. Morgan. Would we address these variances as 1, 2, and 3? Yes. Okay. All right. Do any of the board members have any comments, questions, or concerns?
I guess one of the concern that I have is it possible to still be able to achieve what they're asking for and not require so much light? Pollution? Reading through the Duncan rules, that's one of my concerns, is that it's a lot of light still in that located place. And so that's one of the concerns I have, is about the light pollution and not having full turn down on the lights, so.
I do have a question, Mr. Furston. This is considered residential property, correct?
It's zoned residential, yes.
If the parking lot where it's located is at a great distance to home residence, isn't it?
Not that great a distance. I mean, you have residents over on Pitts Boulevard. That's a little ways away. You have the trailer park behind the shopping center across the street from it. That's the only residence that I can think of that's close to this parking lot. The residents down on Bainbridge, that's a fair piece away.
If this were a commercial piece of property, would this be code compliant? No, it still would not be code compliant. Ms. Leader?
Madam Chair, one of the variances would be reduced, so the pole height maximum would be 25 feet if it were not residential. So the poles as proposed would still require a variance. It would just be a lot less of a variance. But otherwise, all the other variances would remain the same.
Any other board members have any other comments, questions, or concerns?
Madam Chairman, I think that, I did not realize it was going to be housing school buses, and I think the height of the poles would almost necessitate something being that high to accommodate the school buses and also to illuminate the ground around the school buses because of the shadows that it would cast and that kind of a thing, so.
That's a very good point, Mr. Brown. Thank you very much. I agree. While it seems like very large variances, when you're contemplating what this is for, it's an unusual circumstance, and that's one of the reasons why the Board of Zoning and Appeals is here, is for when you have interesting and unique situations. Mr. Granneman made a very good point. This is lighting for a parking lot full of buses.
Yeah.
And buses, anybody have a good idea on how tall a bus is? They're pretty tall.
They're tall.
Okay.
Under a 14-foot bridge on the highways.
I'm sorry, sir?
You can go under a 14-foot high bridge on the highways.
Well, I'm only 5 feet tall, so it's a lot taller than me. Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this matter?
About 10 foot.
If you'd like to, I need to.
He had just clarified it was about 10 foot for a school bus.
Oh, okay,
for
it's
the
10
height.
foot. Oh, okay, that's all, thank you.
But
Okay.
it's still the lighting around them as well as far as the shadows, so it is still helpful to have that height.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sorry.
Good evening, Ms. Banks. I'd like to ask about these, the hot spots that are going to be created by angling these lights. Now, that light, according to the drawings we have, is going to be contained on your property.
Yes.
So this is not any light, this is not a light trespassing issue into any adjoining property, nothing into the right-of-way. That is achieved by the shields and the 45-degree angle. The only light I see that possibly is an issue is the one on the west side of the building, the wall pack. That one there is right by your exit, but seeing as that is the exit and not the entrance, I don't foresee that causing any problem there. And I think, although it is not our consideration at this time, not having light poles in the parking lot is probably a good idea. Over time. And the last thing I'd like to address is that they are looking to match the other light poles that are located on the campus. So I asked the clerk to see if they were granted a variance when they built the original academic center, and there is no record of any variance at that time. So I think that has probably led us to this position where we're at today, where we're looking for a variance on this same piece of property to do basically the same thing.
Did you have anything to add, administration?
Since the initial project was approved, the ordinances have changed for lighting in the city.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the clarification. Did you have anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. It's been covered.
Okay, anybody in the audience? Okay, can you please come to the podium? Can you state your name and address, please, miss?
Holly Swank, 36259 Center Ridge.
Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do.
Okay.
The current bus garage has terrible lighting. I agree that this new bus garage is not where the other bus garage is that has houses behind it. This bus garage is in a kind of unique situation where we're not really in a residential area. We have the fire department, we have the police department, we have the schools. I think it should be approved. That's my opinion.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Swank. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Winkle?
we're in an unusual situation that I can actually lend a lot of
You can
experience
talk about
to this
this?
Subject. So
Do you know a lot about lighting
I
and
do
electrical?
it daily. So,
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
So I just want to add a few things, opinion based. You know, it's a unique situation because you're trying to structure something in an R1 district that is not something that is made for an
R1?
R1 district when you look at a parking lot, because that's a commercial parking lot in an R1 district. So it's like unique in itself. Practical difficulty is almost there already. Concerns like, will the variance follow the property? It's going to be the school. It's not going to change. It's, you know, that would be another concern you don't have to have. I know when you look at the lighting photometrics, you see all these hot spots on there, but you almost have to envision at night with all the buses parked there what it would look like, because it would look completely different than what you see on the photometrics. And I can see why they angled the 45s out there, because when the buses are parked there, and I don't want to speak for the architect, but you got to throw light over the buses to get it out in the parking lot. Otherwise, you'll have dead spots. And that's what it looks like to me, why you had to do that. Is that fair to say? So just a unique perspective from what I do for a living. But you know, light equals security. That's how it kind of works. You know, you don't want to grossly indulge in light without, you know, any checks and balances. But, you know, the more light, the more secure things are. And that's just the way it is. So there's my opinion and insight. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Administration, do you have anything else you'd like to add? Okay.
Madam Chair, I think the one question, I believe Mr. Toth brought up, that light is staying on the property, that would be my biggest concern. And it sounds like they've covered that.
Okay, so in reviewing the Duncan factors, will the property yield a reasonable return without the variance? It is a school. Schools very rarely go up for sale. So, of course, the property can be used without the variance. But it's, once again, the reason why we're here. It's a very unique situation. Is the variance substantial? I think we've clarified that, you know, a school is commercial in nature, but it's zoned residential. I think that the questions that Mr. Toth asked and clarified in regards to the lighting and that we're keeping it focused in on the parking lot and there's not going to be a lot of light pollution affecting everybody else, I think that's a really good solution to a problem. One of the things that we do need to make sure is that we protect our investment, and our investment is by all of us for the buses at the bus garage. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance? As stated above, it is a school campus located next to the police department, the fire department, and public works. So if you look at it that way, it is similar in property, or it's similar in nature. Will the variance adversely affect the delivery of governmental services? No, it won't. Did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning requirements? I don't, zoning requirements have been in place before the school was built. Can the owner be precluded through some other method other than a variance? No, because it's kind of a unique situation, so there's really no other way to do this. Would the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance? I think we've hit on this numerous times, and that is that it is a unique piece of property, it's a unique situation, and while it is in a residential neighborhood, it is bordered by city buildings, once again. So is there any other discussion? Did I miss
Madam Chair,
anything?
I would just also like to add that our actions tonight are the result of the Planning Commission asking for administrative approval of the final photoelectric plan. So that is the reason why we are here this evening looking at this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for doing that. Anybody else want to add anything, any deliberations? I make a motion to accept as submitted.
I'll second it.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Or are you going to separate out the variance request?
Oh, I'm sorry, for the very first variance?
Variance number 1, Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
For-
So-
Motion
okay.
carries unanimously.
So for variance 2,
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
For variance 3,
Grotman,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. And will the clerk please read the final application?
PPZ 2025-0334, Javier Feliciano, 5884 Rosebell Avenue, PPN 07-00-020-108-019. Proposal consists of a detached garage. Property is zoned RS2 General Residence District. Request a 208 square foot variance for area of detached private garage, Applicant shows 960 square feet. Code allows 676 square feet, section 1294.03, D1. Note, garage also exceeds 26 feet in width.
Okay. Will you state your name and address?
Javier Feliciano, 5884 Roosevelt Avenue, North Ridgeville, Ohio.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Ms. Lieber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a 0.13 acre lot located in RS2 district. The lot is non-conforming and that it does not meet the required minimum lot area, so it's a little bit undersized. It's a legal non-conforming lot, however. And by way of history, in April of 2024, Building Department staff determined that the owner had constructed a garage addition on his property without the issuance of a permit. A citation was issued in April, and then in May, the applicant had submitted a permit application to obtain the required approval for the garage. During plan review, it was found that the garage addition did not comply with the requirements of the code. So then in June of '24, the city issued its plan review findings that the garage was too close to the property line and exceeded the maximum area for a garage. So then the applicant was advised they had to bring the garage into compliance or seek variance from the BZBA. The applicant appeared before you on July 25th of last year with 2 variance requests, one for the side setback and one for the size of the garage. At that time, the proposed building was 1,032 square feet, and the variance request was 356 square feet. Both of those variances were denied. The applicant reduced their request, reapplied, appeared before the BZA on December 19th of last year with a single variance request. They were able to eliminate the side setback. The building reduced from 1,032 square feet to 984 square feet, which was still at that point over by 308 square feet, and that was denied. So tonight the applicant is before you, having made another change to the previous proposal. The area of the garage continues to exceed code requirements by 284 square feet. 960 square feet is proposed and 676 square feet is permitted. So, while the applicant has technically reduced their request, the amount of reduction from the December application to this February application is only 24 square feet total. That's less than 8% reduction in the variance request. Thank you. 48 square feet?
Yeah, 2 foot times 24 is 48. Minor detail.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Moran, did you have anything to add?
Just to note, as the board's well aware of, this has been looked at before. The change that's being proposed is not substantial.
Hi.
Hi.
So we get to see you again.
Yes.
Okay. So what are your difficulties? Practical difficulties are what we're looking at.
Practical difficulties. I don't know what that means.
Okay. So when you were here at the previous 2 times, we keep asking why we should grant the variance. What caused you to, you've indicated in the past that your contractor didn't pull permits?
Yes.
Is your contractor here?
I wish I can find him, but believe it or not, I met him at the casino. And I go to the casino almost every week to try to find them, and I can't find them. The guy he said he built pretty much all red tail in North Ridgeville. He used to be a contractor for all red tail, so he
Red
should've
tail's
known.
in Avon.
It's not in North Ridgeville, red tail?
No, it's
Okay.
in
Yeah, he said
Avon.
he built most of the red tail.
Okay.
But can't find them. I wish I asked him many times that this was good, and then the fact that he didn't even want to take a check from me, he just took my money, never give me a receipt. you know, kind of made me think.
Do the board have any questions in regards to this matter?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Sir, I was reading your letter of support here, and it states that there are unique challenges presented by the topography and layout of the land. And I'm curious as to what that consists of.
Where is that at, I'm sorry?
That is, 1, 2, 3, fourth sentence, fifth sentence down, second paragraph.
Oh, where it says the proposed development will improve the neighborhood? Or before that?
No, sir, it's in the second paragraph, about midway through.
Second paragraph?
Yes, sir. Are you looking at your letter of support? That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking at.
Yeah, second one.
Yes,
right
sir. Yes, sir. That's it.
here. You talking about which line?
So it's right here.
I am confident that Javier Feliciano Vega proposed plan will not negatively impact that
No,
right
sir.
there?
It's, I am writing to express my full support. That's the paragraph.
Okay. The amendments regarding the property located at Roosevelt, the neighborhood, the city and Roosevelt Avenue. And you were asking about the unique challenge?
You state in this letter here, there are unique challenges presented by the topography and layout of the land, and I'm curious as to what those consist of.
So, sir, is there, like, is there something in regards to your ground that makes it, that made you build where it was built? Is what we're asking for clarification. In your letter of support, you're saying that the way that the ground is and the layout of the land.
Yes, I would think that where it was built was probably the best and the most unique place to put it instead of being on the other side.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, sir, looking at the drawings you submitted today, can we get that up on the screen? Right. Okay, that is a different building than what you presented to us.
Yeah, because we just did the new building.
Okay, but
Not the existing building.
as I took a look at it today, these are, the two buildings still coexist. They share a common roof line.
Okay.
So this structure that you're showing me here, this is incomplete because the roof actually goes over top of the building next to it, as your drawings that you
I'm only
submitted
asking
to
for
us.
a variance for just the new building, not the both buildings.
Now, could I get some clarification from the building officer, please? In the presentation that we were given in December, there was a separate detached garage and a new structure that share a common roof, making that structure approximately 40 feet wide. As the structure stands today, it exists as those drawings were presented to us back in December.
Yes, the structure exists.
The drawing given to us tonight does not represent the structure incomplete.
The drawing that he's providing you represents what he's proposing to do with the garage if he gets the variance.
So he would need to remove that common roof from the second building.
Not the common roof, he would need to take and move the exterior wall to reduce the square footage of the garage, which he could do and then cut off the roof.
Okay, but this drawing right here only represents 20 feet then of the building. It doesn't represent the entire building.
That drawing is not representing the whole garage. I believe what he's showing there is the addition portion.
Correct.
There's an existing garage to the left side of that. It's probably the equivalent in size to that.
Yes, sir. That is what I witnessed. Now, on that size of a lot is a building. Are you allowed to have two separate buildings then? Or is he going to take this 20 and put it with the other 20 and make it?
It's already attached as one building. And his intention, I believe, is to leave it that way and reduce the size of the new addition to whatever the variance request is approved.
Thank you.
You could have two separate buildings down there, but the ordinance says they have to be 10 feet apart, which is another issue. But there's no separation between these two buildings. It's one contiguous building.
Thank you.
I wish I can explain myself like he can, but I get nervous and
Have you, okay. Any other board members have any other comments? The problem is, and this has been the problem that when you were here in July and when you were here in December, we're looking for you to give us practical difficulties. I know you've spoken to the building department. We actually had the law director here last meeting, and he did suggest, looking into legal matters because of the person. You're telling us,
you mean
You
legal
pay-
matters like an attorney?
suing the person who is your builder.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them, but
Okay,
you
so
can't
trying.
sue somebody that you can't find.
Okay, so the problem is that you built a building without any building permits, okay? You built a building that's exceeds the code. So you have to give us reasons why you should be allowed to be exempt from the code. That was what we asked for in July, and that's what we asked for in December, okay? All you keep doing is just shrinking the building. You're not giving us reasons to grant you the variance.
Well, the reason the building was built, it was for a garage to be able to keep my tow truck inside.
Okay, I understand, but still, as you're a business owner, and any business owner has to follow rules and regulations. Anytime you build a building, it does need a building permit.
I mean, you can follow rules, but if you talk to somebody who leads you the wrong, the false entertainment, and you trust them, you can't,
Okay.
I believed in him by being a contractor, and he did me wrong, and I thought that I was okay by listening to him because he's a contractor. That's why I've been coming over here trying to do more of a variance.
But this is the third time you've been in front of us.
Yes.
Okay, and the third time we're asking you, I understand that you hired somebody, you paid him in cash. The law director last time asked you, have you pursued this legally? Have you contacted an attorney? Do you have an attorney representing you?
I've been trying to call Cuyahoga County, Lorain County. There's no
Have you
attorney
hired
that
an
represents
attorney,
this.
sir?
What's that?
Have you hired an attorney? Do you have legal representation?
No, like I said, I've been trying to get an attorney to help me with this matter. There's nobody that does it in Orange County. There's nobody that does it in Cuyahoga County. I call every day. Although I'm super busy with my 2 companies that I have, so I only got several time to call, but I have to do my research. I also talked to get my my other side of my property on the other side. Try to file for that as well.
Have
But,
you done that?
Yeah, I went over there as well, and
You went where, sir?
over here,
I don't know where there is. You have to tell me.
right here at this door.
You went to the clerk of council
Yes, and I talked
to
to a lady
find, you talked to the lady about,
getting my other half of the property. That was
so
vacant.
you've hired a surveyor?
Not yet.
So you
Because I
haven't-
did this a few years back, and she was trying to look for some paperwork
So you talked to her a couple years ago or recently?
a couple of years ago. in
So
regard-
nothing recent?
Yes, recently I had talked to her. Last time I was here, I went over there and talked to her, but I filed like years back, tried to get it.
Okay.
And
We're,
she was
we're
trying-
talking about what we're doing now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did file.
So you filed to have the property vacated? You filed the
Yes,
paperwork?
on the other side. Yes. I think I talked to her.
Yeah, no. What she's telling me is that it was talked about at a meeting years ago. In order to have the property vacated, you have to initiate the paperwork now. You can't go based on what something several years ago was done. So
Right.
have you started the process now?
Yes,
Re-
I'm starting.
You've started the process with the clerk of council.
No,
would-
I haven't started the process, but I got to start the process. Yes.
You have to start the process, or you have started the process?
I wanted. Did I talk to her? I talked to
And
whatever.
she's telling me you haven't done that.
Okay, but I just want to talk to her about the situation. I have not done anything past that. No.
Okay, so
Chair?
that's all I'm asking for clarification. Ms. Lieber?
If I could kind of jump in on that matter, I mean, I think the issue of the potential street vacation really is a separate matter from this application before you. It has not, a petition hasn't been filed. That is a council legislative action. There's public hearing requirements. The idea that these 2 issues are conflated together, I think, is not appropriate. And additionally, it wouldn't change the variance requested, even if that street vacation occurred and lots were consolidated, it wouldn't change the variance. So I would prefer to kind of keep that a whole separate, not part of the board's thought process.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this matter? Sure. You want to come on up, sir? You don't have to be sworn in again. You just have to state your name again.
I'm Javier's neighbor, 5900. From my understanding and speaking with him, obviously I understand what you're saying, what he didn't add on his existing garage. To me personally, as long as he reforms or goes back in the code and moves that wall to the correct square footage, I really don't see a problem with it. I mean, it's not bothering me. I don't think it bothers anybody in the neighborhood. It's like you can't drive down the street and all of a sudden you see it or anything like that. So, but I mean, I understand everybody's concerns and the legality of everything. But I think, if he complies to getting it back into the code and then cutting that roof off and what have you, I think.
He's exceeding code. The way that it's built currently is 42% greater than what's allowed.
Well, I mean, whatever everybody comes to the correct conclusion for, yeah, I was just a little dumbfounded because typically, being in the trades a while ago, that usually a builder has to come to the city and get a building permit. So whatever. I mean, I don't know. So,
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, my opinion, I'm his neighbor to the left. He's a great guy, and I sort of feel bad for him because it's a lot of money there, and I'm like, well, if you just comply to them and move everything over, and hopefully they can work with you. So That's my opinion, so.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
Sir, would you like to come to the podium, state your name?
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Kyle Winkle. I live at 5889 Rosebell Avenue.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do.
Okay.
I've been living at 5889 for about 10 years now, which is wild to think about. But Javier's been he's been my neighbor right across the street from me for all 10 years. He's been a fantastic neighbor, an even better person. I know that you guys could have plenty of people up here vouching for how nice he is. It doesn't help this situation, but I do think that the contractor he hired has put him in a really bad spot. I personally don't think that Javier would try to slide anything under the radar or do anything to hide from the city. I truly believe that he's just trying to make this right. I think he wants a bigger garage for his tow truck, and I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Anybody else here want to speak on behalf? Would you like to come up to the podium? Restate your name. We're not going to make you get sworn in again.
Holly Swink, 36259 Center Ridge. Javier, can you afford to take the garage down and rebuild it? Is that a hardship to you? Thank you.
Anybody
Madam
else?
Chair? Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm
If
sorry,
there's
Ms.
somebody else-
Morgan?
I just want to point out, which I'm sure the board already knows, but when you consider whether or not to approve this, you need to look at things which are quantitative, which are factual, which are evidence, as opposed, I'm sure Mr. Feliciano is a great neighbor and a great person, but we sort of have to set that aside when making the determination. I just wanted to mention that to the board before you vote.
Thank you very much, Ms. Morgan. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak on behalf of this matter? Okay. Does the board have any questions? Okay. So, in regards to the Duncan factors, can this property yield a reasonable return or beneficial use without the variance? Yes. Is the variance substantial? Mr. Feliciano, the variance is still excessive. It's 42%. I've had no practical difficulties or reasons other than you've presented nothing that gives me practical difficulty to grant you a variance of 42%. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance? This is a very dense neighborhood with homes that are very close. They're under a quarter of an acre. That's the reason for the rules and regulations. Will the variance adversely affect the delivery of governmental services? No, it won't. Did the property owner purchase the property without the knowledge of the zoning restrictions? The zoning restrictions predate the ownership of this residence. So yes, the property owner did purchase the property with knowledge of the restrictions. Can the property owner's predicament can be precluded some other method other than a variance? Yes, it can. The original garage is 20 by 24 feet, which is 480 square feet. The garage can be enlarged up to 676 square feet without the need of a variance. Would the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement be observed and substantial justice done by granting this variance? The applicant provided a statement that the topography and land layout of the land presents a unique challenges necessitating the variance, but did not detail, nor when asked, tell us what those topographical or layout challenges are. There are lots of similar size and orientations to other lots in this vicinity. The garage was constructed without permit, so the desire to keep the structure with minimal modification is not a practical difficulty, but a self-created hardship. Chair will entertain a motion to deny. I'm looking for a second.
Second it.
The clerk put in, just for clarification, voting yes approves the denial.
I'm sorry?
Voting yes approves the denial. Okay, will the clerk please take a roll?
Krautman?
Yes.
Weaver?
I'm sorry, we're voting for no, correct? That no for the variance?
If you've,
You're voting to deny the variance, so yes means you're denying. Yes,
Okay.
I'm voting to deny.
I'm voting yes to deny.
Toth?
Yes with comment. Mr. Feliciano, there is no doubt in my mind that you are a hardworking man and that you are in a very difficult, you're in a difficult position, sir. I understand that. I struggled with the decision on this, but I unfortunately do have to decide and vote yes. And the reason I am voting yes is because you get along with your neighbors all speak highly of you, but there will be a day where you're not that person in that home, at that residence, and by granting this variance, the variance goes with the property. So,
It doesn't matter what you do in the end. I don't wanna hear it. All I do is just come over here and try to work and work and work. And
sir, we're in the middle of a vote, so let us finish our vote, all right? Please finish.
so I vote yes.
Masterson?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Sir, I am very sorry. You are a very nice person. We have tried very hard. Have a nice
I
day.
don't understand what you guys said. I'm just gonna have an attorney be back. I don't understand what I'm supposed to speak when I go.
I've asked you to please get an attorney's, please do.
Trust me. I'm trying to speak,
Okay.
trying to say something that is not, that I don't even know.
Have a
what to
nice
say.
day, sir.
You as well.
I do have there's no other public hearings. I do have a question, and I don't know exactly how to approach this, so I'm gonna kind of do this as a shotgun. This gentleman's been. I'm sorry, sir? I want it on the record on this one. And the reason being is this gentleman was up in front of us 3 separate times.
Madam Chair, are you looking for a legal opinion?
No, I'm not asking for a legal opinion. I'm just wondering, is there a way that somebody can't change? Okay, so,
Can we talk tomorrow?
no, we're not gonna talk at all. I understand, thank you very much. I adjourn the meeting, I withdraw my question. Or, I'm sorry, is there anybody want to say anything else? I adjourn the meeting.